Hello from me, Lazarus. We continue with the next lesson on creating a website from scratch. We have already looked at tools for the creation of our website and now we will look the last free lesson of this course. The following lessons, which are grayed out here, we'll see how I play them. Maybe they will be in some paid form. So, open the PDF file. And we can say the following. Before we start writing code, we must first determine what elements will our learning website contain. That is, it should. We plan everything. And we need to determine more. And how we will place these elements. What they will look like. The color palette and fonts. So we have to make a plan. And work on it. Of course, this for you as a beginner. It will be very difficult. Therefore, in this case, we will move and work on my plan to create the site. Now here I want to insert the following remark. At least, which is valid for me. I don't like to plan things 100%. Down to the smallest detail. I don't because it happens often. In the process of work. To think of a better idea. For a given layout and to improvise. And besides, in practice, a detail is often required. To try several options. On many options until the best one is found. That's why my plan will be as a start. Schematic and indicative only. So, our site will consist of 5 main parts. I describe them from top to bottom. Top header in which we will have logo and title. Navigation part, navigation, in which we will have horizontal navigation menu with 8 buttons. Sidebar, menu. Located on the left. In which we will have 3 sections. Main content. Which is located in the middle and right. And where we will have 4 sections. And a footer that will contain author and rights information. Here's what this will look like. Here's the top header. Where here will be the logo and here the title. Here's the navigation menu part. Where there will be 8 buttons. Here is the menu on the left side. Which consists of 3 sections. Here is the main content in the middle and right part. Which consists of 4 sections. Here is the bottom part, footer, where it will be year, copyright. And here for the validation. Now if you ask me how I have defined all these elements and how did it occur to me to arrange them like this? The answers to these questions are from practice, or rather from mine practical experience, and this includes and reading design books, also watching videos, and exploring many sites and of templates for sites, the so-called templates. Let me clarify something important. This is an example learning site, that's why the idea is here to include the main elements, which are found in a large number of sites, but without being used. Contemporary modernist and minimalist approaches. Maybe tomorrow a new fashion has arisen in making sites. And should we also consider her in the book? So here and now, we will consider just making a classic website. And who wants to develop another type of designs? Okay, but let him study first. and to know the classical, basic, and the standard design principles. And in design, and then already can upgrade further, and to develop in new directions. Of course, in this book, we will not consider all these principles, for then she must be in a volume of thousands of pages. And so we will look at one basic type of design. Thus, site planning aids. We can also, and it is good to use such aids to give us ideas for the site. These are the free HTML and CSS site templates, and the finished color palettes. So let's look at them briefly. I mentioned about free HTML CSS templates in Chapter 30 of his book, and I have given a link to 2 currently working sites with such templates. Now we will pay more attention of the first of them, because in it, such layout templates are included, which are also suitable for beginners. This is the web address, but we care mainly the free CSS layouts section, because it has simpler templates for web page layout, with different number of columns and arrangement of elements. Here they are for you to look at carefully. Templates in this section, and download them, and see for yourself how a layout is made. Once you've learned the patterns in the CSS layout section, you can also check out these, which are found in the free CSS templates section. But start from the last page, where the older templates are, because they go like this. On the very front page are the latest ones. Start with the older ones first and keep in mind that these templates are for personal use, and are free for personal use, but they have copyrights and licenses. Therefore, comply with the requirements of the authors when working with them. And you might try to do your site from a template you like, by changing it with your data. And also, you change parts of its layout as well. That's how I started myself to make my first sites. You can try changing colors, font size, and more. Don't worry at all. Try, experiment and learn. The most important thing is understand the logic and master these things. Next we will look at are the free ready-made color palettes, the determination of appropriate and well-matched colors for a site. It's a whole art, and not an easy thing. Therefore, there are ready-made color palettes, and until you become experts in the field, it's better to use those. Here are some sites where you can to download such palettes. Here are sites where there are generators of ready-made colors and ready-made palettes. Thus, there are many such resources on the internet, so you might as well discover them yourself. For our study website, I have chosen the following color palette. So, after we have already planned, we have determined what the site will look like, its color palette, we can begin to write the code of the site. This we will do, however, after we first determine the options we will work on. Now, in the first edition of the book, we considered 2 such options, with fixed dimensions and with relative dimensions. but in recent years in CSS3, new technologies have arrived, two of which are used, and for site layout. So we too, to keep up with the times, we will also show a variant for to build our site through them. Honestly, I didn't feel like it to add another option. And initially I was going to remove one of the first two options and put the new version in its place. Yes, but who should I remove? I couldn't tell. That's what it turned out to be. A difficult question to resolve. And in the end I decided to remain all three options. I present these three options in more detail. The first option has fixed dimensions in pixels. Starting with this option is a must, because it's the easiest and an understandable option for beginners. As we understood from the title, all dimensions are set in pixels. It is the oldest and classic technology. In real sites, it is rare. You will meet her because she is not suitable for different screen sizes. Something he's been holding on to lately. A lot on him. The next option is with relative clauses. Dimensions in %, and rem or m. This option until 10 years ago was the most met on real sites. But with the advent of automated technologies for making sites, frameworks, site builders and CMS, this gradually changed. And few people create sites manually anymore. With this technology, percentages are used for block sizes, and fonts are set in rem or m units. There may be other options here. It depends on the developer's style. With this technology, adapting to different screen sizes is easy but requires a master and great experience to realize it successfully. So, here's the option. With new technologies, CSS Flexbox and grid layout. These technologies are newer, especially GRD layout. And yet their use will be widespread. It is achieved with them. The most precise layout of the elements. So I decided to complicate the book a bit and turn on the option to work with them. And our way of working will be as follows. Successively we will work out each one of the 5 main parts on the web page, as we will do them in all 3 versions. While the main page from our website to be ready. That's it, we're starting, but that's going to be, as I said in the following lessons, which are likely to be paid in some form. I will write more about it. This is from me.